अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, क्या हाल है? Okay, sorry about that. So what's up? I'm good. How are you? Okay, let me read your answers. Thoughts on admats? Okay, वो video बाद में आएगी, ठीक है? Don't worry about that. Whatever happened, whatever has happened has happened. यही बोलता ना, हाँ. So don't worry too much about what my thoughts are on admats. That part comes later. At the moment, let's focus on math. I'll make a video on it. अभी I want कि सब अपनी ज़रा दिल की भड़ास निकाल लें, ठीक है? सब ज़रा अभी सब एक पैनिक मोड में होंगे, कोई अफसोस कर रहा होगा, कोई कुछ कर रहा होगा. So once everyone is kind of through with that, then I'll share my thoughts on the add math video. Then I'll make a video on the add maths paper. All right. Okay. Hello. Achha, the correct answer is, by the way, 105.5. Okay, now here's the wrong way to solve this. The wrong way to solve this is that, chalo, let me. Okay, so we're not gonna just find out y. We will notice that you're asked to find out what? Notice that you're asked to find out the lower bound for angle y. So here's what you're gonna do. Y is equals to 360 minus the sum of all the other angles, which means 65 plus 131 plus 57. ये नहीं करेंगे, okay? We're not gonna do this. The question says that you need to find out the lower bound, so that means all the angles that you're gonna subtract, you're gonna take the upper bound of all the angles, okay? So you'll do 360 minus the upper bound of 65, which is going to be 65.5, then the upper bound of 131, which is going to be 131.5, then the upper bound of 57, which is going to be 57.5. And then if you do this correctly, you get 105.5 as the answer. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm good. What about you guys? कैसी तैयारी है कल के लिए? अच्छा, how do I know 0.5? Okay, how do I know 0.5? That's because it says correct to the nearest degree. Nearest degree, nearest meter, nearest kilometer always means 1. Okay, so this is what you're going to divide by 2. And you're going to add for the upper bound and subtract for the lower bound. Okay. Please do not make the mistake of finding out y first and then taking the lower bound of it. Okay, that's not how it works. You first solve for y. Okay, you first make an equation for y, in fact, and then you see what bound of y you want, and then depending on that, you either add it, you take the upper bound of the other angles, or you take the lower bound of the other angles. Okay. All right, so shall we begin? We're doing vectors, paper 2. Actually, do we have any moderators here? Any moderators who are here? Why did I take the upper bound for getting lower bound? Okay, just think of it this way. If y will come as a result of subtracting some values, and you want to make sure that what you're left with at the end, which is y, is as less as possible, then you'll make sure that whatever it is that you're subtracting is as great as possible. Okay, so just remember the simple rule. Think of it this way. This is the example that I always give. Profit is equals to selling price minus cost price. If you want to make sure that you maximize profit, then what are you going to do to the selling price? You're going to increase it. Just like that, you're going to make sure that the cost price is as less as possible. If it's the other way around, if you want to decrease your profit, then you'll make sure that your selling price is as less as possible, and you're going to make sure that your cost price is as great as possible. All right? Okay, fine, Ariba, I'll make you the moderator. Please be vigilant. All right, who else? if it says nearest millimeter, then we will take 1 millimeter and divide it by 2, and that is what we're going to add or subtract to the actual values. Okay, Haris, I'll make you the moderator. Okay, so I made 2 moderators. All right. Yeah, Mariam, I think you're also one of the regular viewers, so I'll make you a moderator as well. Okay, so let's start. Here we go. So today we're doing vectors. Okay, I've uploaded this PDF. Go ahead, download it, and I'm going to be going over the past paper questions only. Okay, so I've singled out a few past paper questions which I'm going to solve. So we'll start easy, okay, and then gradually we'll increase the difficulty level. All right, so here it is. It's a fairly easy question. Let's see what it says. This is from okay, so 360 is not going to change. All right, so if you're subtracting the remaining angles from 360, so 360 is not going to change. Dekho, 360 the fixed hai na? The sum of interior angles in a quadrilateral will be 360 irrespective. That's not a rounded off value. Just like that, if let's say if it was a triangle and you had to find out the upper bound or the lower bound of some other angle, in that case also 180 will not change. 180 अपनी जगह पे fixed रहेगा. ठीक है? Okay. एग्ज़ाम से पहले आप लोग ऐसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, मतलब मुझे ज़्यादा डर लग रहा है. आप लोगों को डर लगना चाहिए, मुझे ज़्यादा डर लग रहा है. खैर, anyway, better late than never. So like I said, let's start. You can download this PDF from the link in description. I'm starting now. Let's try and do as many questions as possible. Okay. So this is question number 36 of the worksheet. Okay. And this is from May, June 2021, paper 2, variant 1. Okay. Let's see what it says. So you're given a vector and you're asked to find out its magnitude. So a pretty straightforward question. Okay. All you got to do is just take the square root of minus 3 squared plus 5 squared. Okay. So square root of 9 plus 25. So that's equal to 34. And then write your answer as either root 34. Okay. Or you can give your answer in decimal, which is going to be 5.83. Okay, so either way, this is how you do it. Okay, then it says AC is a vector so and so, and C is the point 10, minus 1. Find the coordinates of point A. Okay, so whenever you're given the coordinates of a point, how do you turn that into vector? You write it as OC. Okay, C could be any point. Like in this case, it's C. It could be any other point as well. So OC is going to be 10 minus 1. Now, how do I manipulate OA and OC to get AC? Here's what we do. OC minus OA gives us AC. Okay, this is subtraction rule. So AC is equals to what? AC is equals to 6 and 2. What's OC equal to? We don't know. In fact, that's what we're supposed to find out. What's OA equal to? OA is something that's given to us. In fact, wait. OC given hai. OA humne nikalna hai. ठीक है. So OC is given to us as 10, minus 1. OA kya hai? Nahi pata. Alright, nothing to worry about. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shift the entire OA on the other side. Okay. And I'm going to bring AC on this side. So here's what we have. 10 minus 1. Okay. Minus 6 and 2. So what's 10 minus 6? 10 minus 6 is equal to 4. Okay. And then minus 1 minus 3 is equal to what? Is equal to minus 3. So there you go. OA in vector terms is 4 and minus 3. And in terms of the coordinates, it's going to be 4 and minus 3. Okay. Pretty easy. Then it says B is the midpoint of AD. Find the coordinates of the point D. Okay. So this is a 2-mark question. And let's see what it means. B is the midpoint of AD. Okay. So if B is the midpoint of AD, what does that mean? That means here's A, here is B, and here is D. So this is a bit of coordinate geometry as well. So we have the coordinates of A. They're 4, minus 3. We have the coordinates of B. Okay, we don't have the coordinates of B, but chalo, we'll find that out. Do we have the coordinates of D? No, we don't. Okay, so let's call this x2, y2. Let's call this x1, y1. Let's call it x2, y2. So first things first, let's find out the coordinates of B. So how can I find out the coordinates of B? OB minus OA equals to AB. Okay. So OB को subject बना लेते हैं. You can do this using vector as well. Okay, that's also perfectly all right. और आप इसको एक बिल्कुल सिंपल एक और देसी तरीका है उससे भी कर सकते हैं. I'll explain that as well. So OB is equal to, if you make it the subject, OB is going to be equal to AB plus OA. Okay. Now what's AB equal to? AB is given to us in the question, minus 3, 5. Alright, and what's A? We have the coordinates of A. In fact, we worked it out over here. It's 4 and minus 3. Alright, so this gives us the coordinates of B. Okay, so minus 3 plus 4 is 1. And 5 plus minus 3 is equals to positive 2. So that means now that we have the coordinates of B, we can find out the coordinates of D easily. B के क्या coordinates हैं? B के coordinates हैं 1, 2. So let's replace that. Okay. So x plus 4 upon 2 equals to 1. That means x plus 4 equals to 2. Alright. So cross multiply. Let's see what do we get. X is equals to minus 2. So that's the x coordinate of D. And then just like that, y plus minus 3 upon 2 is equals to 2. Again, cross multiply, y minus 3 is equals to 4, which means y is equals to what? Y is equals to 7. So minus 2 comma 7 are your coordinates of D. Let me tell you a very simple way of solving this question. Okay. So here's A and here's B. Okay. Now, this is not drawn to scale, but for this, you will have to draw it to scale. Ab dekho, AB is what? AB is minus 3 comma 5. Okay, AB is minus 3 comma 5. Acha, actually, you know what? हाँ ये method भी सीख ही लें आप लोग. Minus 3 comma 5 basically means that you're moving 3 units to the left and you're moving 5 units up. Okay, so this is A and this is B. Alright. Now, according to the question, B is the midpoint of AD. Okay. So एक काम करते हैं, इसको थोड़ा कम कर देते हैं. ठीक है. Let's say somewhere over here is B. Okay. And then let's extend it. And let's say somewhere over here is D. Okay. Now what's AB? AB is minus 3 comma 5. Okay. So that means if you want to go from A to B, you move 3 units to the left and you move 5 units up. Alright. 3, 5. So that means if you want to go from A to D, in that case, what do? You move 6 units to the left and you move 10 units up. Okay, so what are the coordinates of A? We found out the coordinates of A earlier, 4 and minus 3. 4 and minus 3. So that means if you want to go to the coordinates of D, what you do is you move the double of 3, which is 6. So that's 4 minus 6. And since we're moving to the left, that's why we're subtracting. And what's the y coordinate of A? It's minus 3. And then we move twice of 5, which is 10, up. And since we're moving up, that means it's going to be plus 10. So D के क्या coordinates आ गए? D के coordinates आ गए minus 2, 7. ठीक है, तो ये भी एक आप कह लें एक तरह से एक simple देसी सा तरीका है करने को. ठीक है. Okay. Now, calculator tips. Okay, so I have a lot of calculator tips uploaded already, so you guys can watch that. All right. Acha, I forgot to mention this earlier. Those of you who are watching, if you if you guys could just like the stream, that would mean a lot. Can't understand? Okay, I'll explain it again. Dekho. So first of all, the key statement over here is this, that B is the midpoint of AD. All right. Now, if B is the midpoint of AD, that means whatever distance AB is, BD will also be the same distance. Now, what's the vector AB? The vector AB is minus 3, 5. I say, the vector AB is minus 3, 5. That means in order to go from A to B, we're moving 3 units to the left and we're moving 5 units up. That means if I want to go from A to D, I'll double that. I'll move 6 units to the left and 10 units up. Why is that? Because B is the center, so that means AD technically is going to be twice of AB. Okay, AD is technically going to be twice of AB. So A, say if I'm moving 6 units to the left, that means I'll subtract 6 from the x coordinate, and then from A, if I'm moving 10 units up, that means I'll add 10 units to the y coordinate. Okay. Yes, Delhi का जो calculator कह रहे हैं आप वो भी allowed है, and this calculator also is allowed, so nothing to worry about. All right. Okay, now here's part B. Let's see what part B says. Part B says the diagram shows triangle OPQ. Okay. R is the point on OQ such that OR is equals to 2 times of RQ. Now, when you're reading this question in the exam, don't just read it and move on. Make sure that you're also looking at the diagram simultaneously and you try and make sense of as much information as possible. So, R is the point on OQ such that OR is equals to twice of OQ. Okay. OR, that means OR is equal to twice of RQ. Okay. So, that means if this is 1, this is 2. Okay. More about this later on. S is the midpoint of PQ. Alright, that means these two are equal. Alright. Express as simply as possible in terms of P and or Q, PQ. Okay, so how do I go from P to Q? That's pretty simple. I'm going to go from P to O, which means minus P, and then from O to Q, which means plus Q. Okay, and there you go. That's your answer. Minus P plus Q. Okay, then we have OS. So how do I go from O to S? In order to go from O to S, here's what I can do. I can go from O to P, and then I can go from P to S. Now, as far as OP is concerned, we already have that, but how exactly will I get my hands on PS? Now, since S is the midpoint of PQ, that means PS will be half of PQ. Okay, so now that I know what PQ is, I'll write half as it is, and PQ gets replaced by minus P plus Q. Now you simplify this, let's see what do we get. So we get P minus half P plus half Q. Okay, so what's P minus half P? That's positive half P plus half Q. Okay, there you go. Okay, now let's clean this up. Let's take a screenshot of this. Let's bring that back. Yeah. Then the question says find SR. Okay. अब S से R कैसे जाएं? First of all, let's pick a good route that will take us from S to R. Okay. So in order to go from S to R, here's what you can do. You can go from S to Q and then from Q to R. Okay. इससे फ़ायदा ये होगा, once you write down what exactly you need to do in order to find out the required vector, you can sort of figure out what is it that you already have and what is it that you need to find out. Okay, we kind of set new objectives for ourselves. So the new objective that we have set for ourselves is finding SQ and QR. Okay, so SQ again is going to be half of PQ. Alright, so that means SQ is sorted. SQ is half of minus P plus Q. Alright, so that's sorted. Now what about QR? What exactly can we do for QR? Okay, now notice that the question told us at the very beginning that OR is equals to 2 times of RQ. Okay, so OR is equals to 2 times of RQ. Okay, so what does that mean? That means there in the ratio 2 is to 1. So that means if you talk about RQ, so RQ technically is going to be 1/3 of OQ. RQ देखा जाए तो will be 1/3 of the total. Okay, that's what RQ is going to be. So that means RQ is actually equal to 1/3 of Q. Okay, so RQ is equals to 1/3 of Q. Now what about QR? Well, no big deal. If you know what RQ is, QR, all you got to do is change the sign. So this is what QR is equal to. Now that you know what SQ is and now that you also know what QR is, all you got to do is just add them up. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So we have minus half of P plus half of Q minus 1/3 of Q. Alright, so let's see what do we get. So minus half P remains as it is because there's nothing to add or subtract. Now let's see what 1/2 minus 1/3 is. So that's equal to plus 1/6. So plus 1/6Q. So there you go. That's your answer. Minus half P plus 1/6Q. Now take a good look at it and let me know what your thoughts are. How 1 upon 3? Okay. Now OR is 2 parts, RQ is 1 part. Alright. So RQ you can say is 1/3 of the total. Now where did I get the 3 from? Okay, you guys may be wondering that कि ये 3 कहाँ से आया? यही सोच रहे हैं ना आप लोग कि ये 3 कहाँ से आया? 3 ऐसे आया, जरा और से देखें. This is divided into 3 parts, okay, and of the 3 parts, OR takes 2 part and RQ takes 1 part. So that means RQ is basically 1/3 of the total. Why minus P plus Q? Because beta, we're going from P to Q, so if we're going in the opposite direction, obviously it's going to be minus P plus Q, okay. Now for those of you who are asking me to explain it again, I would suggest just rewind the stream and then watch it, okay. Alright, let's do another question. Let's do another difficult question. This is from, let's do this. This is from October, November 2020, paper 2, variant 2. Let me see if it's difficult. It's not that difficult, but let's see. Let's see what it says. Okay. So this is question number 35 of the worksheet. Alright, so keep that in mind. So here it says h is the point minus 7 comma 4, hj you're given in as a column vector is 10 comma minus 6. Calculate the magnitude of the vector hj. Okay, so pretty easy. Square root of 10 squared plus minus 6 squared, so that means we're looking at square root of 100 plus 36, which is equal to square root of 136. Okay, so square root of 136 equals to what? 11.66, so we'll write it as 11.7. Okay. Okay. Then it says hk is equals to 3 times of hj. Find the coordinates of point k. Okay, so make sure to look at the marks as well. So here are the marks. It's a 2-mark question. So that means maybe not a lot of working required. But yeah, there is definitely some working that's required. So hk is equals to 3 times of hj. Now, do we have hj? Yes, we do. All we got to do now is multiply it by 3. So 3 into 10 and minus 6. And this will give us hk. Okay. So that means 30 and minus 18 is what vector hk is. Now, don't get carried away. This is not the final answer. What you want are basically the coordinates of k, which means you want to find out the vector ok. Now, how will I break hk up? Here's how I'll do it. OK minus OH is equals to HK. Okay. So that means if I make OK the subject, so that's going to be equal to HK plus OH. Now you may be thinking this is a 2-mark question. Why am I, elaborating it so much? Now that's what I would suggest, because the thing in questions like these, see what's the max that can go wrong? You can end up making a sign error. What's the best way to avoid making a sign error is to just stretch it out, just to lay it out in front of you and make your working as elaborate as possible. Don't skip any steps. And that's the best advice that I can give you. A lot of you who ask me these questions, how do I avoid silly mistakes? Well, the best way to avoid silly mistakes is to do the working as step by step as possible. Okay. Now, OK is now equal to HK, which is 30 into minus 18, all right, plus OH means minus 7 and 4, okay. So 30 plus minus 7 is equals to 23 positive, minus 18 plus 4 equals to minus 14, and there you go. That's your answer. Okay. From this point, you can skip the part where you write the answer separately and then you write it in the space that's given. Okay, that part you can skip, but yeah, there you go. That's your answer. Yeah, also before starting the next question, always check your previous one. It saves time. Yeah, it's best to check as you go along. वैसे math में you can expect that you will be left with some time at the end. But the thing is, as far as math paper 1 is concerned, see, okay, this is an important question that I need to address. As far as the, okay, yeah. So as far as math paper 1 is concerned, math paper 1 questions are pretty straightforward. They're not very extensive, so you can check your working at the very end. Okay, but as far as math paper 2 is concerned, here's my suggestion. Don't leave the checking for the very end. Check as you go along, because if, let's say, God forbid, you mess up in between and then you're checking it after the very end, after you're done with the paper, then it will be very difficult to sort of gather the same chain of thoughts that you had then. So it's best that you check as you go along. If you do it towards the end, then it'll take you a while to sort of get familiar with what you've done and then figure out what's the correct way to do what's actually the correct way to solve the question. Okay, so that's why it's best that you check as you go along, because everything is so interconnected. Every following step is dependent on the previous one, so you don't want to leave that for the very end. ठीक है, फिर आप भूल जाएंगे कि आपने इधर क्या किया, इधर प्लस क्यों किया था, इधर माइनस क्यों किया था, ये सब आपको रिकॉल करने में टाइम लगेगा. सो जस्ट चेक एज यू गो अलोंग. ओके, नाउ आई विल नॉट रिकमेंड दैट यू डू द सोल्यूशन इन पेंसिल. ओके, हर साल ऐसा कोई ना कोई कार्टून होता है जो कहता है कि मैंने पूरा पेपर पेंसिल से कर दिया. भाई, जब पेपर में इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्लियर हैं कि आपने पेन से सॉल्व करना है, ओनली ड्रॉ द डायग्राम्स इन पेन, ओनली ड्रॉ द डायग्राम्स, द ग्राफ्स इन पेंसिल. ओके, एवरीथिंग एल्स नीड्स टू बी डन इन पेन. ऑलराइट, can we write root 36 in third form? Yeah, that you can. Okay, that you can. Why did you... okay, beta ye subtraction rule hai. Okay, revise the concepts of vectors. This is the rule of subtraction, and yes, you can use the head to tail rule as well. Okay, you can use the head to tail rule as well. Okay, ultimately just make sure that the vector that you're ending up with is what you actually want. All right, so like for example, if let's say you have AB. Okay, now AB can be written as OB minus OA. Now this is not related to this question. Okay, I'm just answering a general question. You can write this as OB minus OA, or the same AB can be written as AO plus OB. Okay, इसको ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं. So it doesn't matter how you write it, just make sure that if let's say you're given OA and you're converting into AO, then don't forget to change the sign. Alright, that's the only thing that you need to be careful of. Everything else is fine. Okay, now let's do this question. So this is just part B of the previous question. Okay, so it says the diagram shows a parallelogram OBCE. Okay, OA equals to P, so it's only this part that's equal to P. Okay, don't end up taking OB as P. OE equals to Q, so that means this entire part is equal to Q. All right, then it says AD is parallel to OE. Okay, AD is parallel to OE. Acha, now we can also say that AD will be equal to Q, and not only that, in fact this entire length will also be equal to Q. ठीक है, so जो आप figure out कर सकते हैं, I would suggest that you figure it out. All right, then it says OA and AB are in the ratio 1:3. Okay, so OA and AB are in the ratio 1:3. Okay, and BX and XC are in the ratio 3:2. BX and XC are in the ratio 3:2. Okay, now then it says express as simply as possible in terms of P and or Q OC. Okay, so how can I find out OC? Okay, so OC तक जाने के लिए, here's what I need to do. In order to go from O to C, I need to first go from O to B, okay, and then from B to C. Now as far as BC is concerned, that we already have, okay, that we know is going to be equal to Q, but the thing is, how do I find out OB? Okay, pay close attention. All right, if OA is equal to P, all right, and AB, which is 3 times of OA, so what is that going to be equal to? That's going to be equal to 3P. Why is that? Again, pay close attention. OA and AB are in the ratio 1:3. That means whatever vector OA is, AB is 3 times of it. Okay, so 3 times of P equals to what? Is equals to 3P. So OB is sorted. OB is going to be equal to P plus 3P, which is 4P, plus BC, which is equal to Q. So 4P plus Q. ठीक है? I'll explain this again. OA is P, and since OA and AB are in the ratio 1:3, if you want to do it formally, then here's what you can do. I'm going to erase this. OA and AB since they're in the ratio 1:3. So what's OA equals to? OA is equals to P. What's AB equal to? We don't know. Okay, and since they're in the ratio 1:3, just cross multiply. So you'll have AB, which is equal to 3P. Okay. Okay, and then don't forget that if you're finding out OB, that's going to be P plus 3P, which is equal to 4P. Okay. Okay. Then you need to find out AX. Okay, so how can I find out AX? So ek kaam karte hain, let's clean this up. Let's take a picture of this and let's bring this here. Okay, so AX nikalne ke liye I need to go from A to B, which I know is 3P. Then I need to go from B to X. Okay, now what do I know about BX? So previously we wrote down this as 1 and 3 and this is 3 as 2. Okay, so this was 3P. Now here's what we know about BX. I know that BX is 3 parts and XC is 2 parts. Okay, let me confirm that. Yeah, okay. So now the thing is, now हमारे पास BX है, now हमारे पास XC है. Okay, I'll repeat, we don't have BX and we don't have XC either. What we do have is the total. Okay, we have BC, which is equal to what? Which is equal to Q. So that means if I write BX, BX is going to be equal to 3/5 of, now in case you're wondering where the 5 came from, so these two all together have been divided into 5 parts. So BX is equals to 3/5 of BC. Okay, and what's BC equal to? BC is equals to OE. Okay, so that means BX is equal to what? 3/5 of Q. Okay, now we have everything we need in order to find out AX. So AX के लिए हम जाएंगे A to B and then we'll go from B to X. So AB is 3P, alright, and BX is 3/5 of Q. So there you go, 3P plus 3/5 of Q. Okay, so काफ़ी तसल्ली से करने वाले questions हैं. Don't rush into them. Just do it step by step. Make sure that you first figure out what is it that you have and what is it that you need to find out. Okay, before you do anything else. Okay, good job, moderator. I can see you're doing good work. You don't need to delete the message. Just put that person in. Just hide that person on the channel. Okay, otherwise you'll have to delete again and again. Shawarma paper. But that's the first. Butter paper, yeah, butter paper is allowed. Tracing paper, basically. Tracing paper is allowed. Okay. I've made a video on it. और tracing paper allowed है या नहीं. Officially लिखा है allowed है. अगर कोई invigilator आपको मना करे, then you can just tell them politely that it says on the question paper that it's allowed. So they're not going to stop you. No need to take the LCM. Okay. However, like for example, if two vectors could have been simplified, then I would have done that. Okay. All right. Now, EX. All right. Let's find out EX. Okay. So notice one thing, that we worked out BX to be what? BX we worked out to be 3/5 of Q. Okay, so XC kitna hoga? XC will be 2/5 of Q. Alright. And now if you want to find out EX, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go from E to C. You're going to go from E to C and then from C to X. Okay. Now EC. EC means P plus 3P. Okay. So all of this is going to be EC. Let me make a straighter line. So this is EC. Alright, and since this is P and this is 3P, so that means it's going to be 4P. Okay, we worked that out earlier. Whatever is OB, EC will also be the same, and consequently ED will be the same as OA and DC will be the same as AB. Okay, so 4P plus CX. Now don't make the mistake of taking this as positive 2 upon 5Q. Okay, this will be minus 2 upon 5Q. And then you can write your answer, 4P minus 2 upon 5Q. And there you go, fellas. That's your answer. Okay, let's do another question. All right, let's do this question. We did just a similar triangles part of this question in the last stream, which was day before yesterday. But now let's do the complete question. Okay. Easy, sir. Do some. Yeah, I will do some difficult questions as well. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, so this is a question that we did in the last class. It says OYC is a triangle. So OYC is a triangle. A is a point on OY. A is a point on OY. And B is a point on CY. Okay. AB is parallel to OC. Alright. AC and OB intersect at X. Alright. Prove that triangle ABC is similar to triangle COX. Okay. So इसको जल्दी से कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. Although we have done it, but let's just quickly do it again. ABC is similar to triangle COX. Okay. So what are we going to use over here in order to prove that they're similar? We're going to use the help of alternating angles. Okay, because we have a pair of parallel lines. So basically angle ABX is going to be equal to angle XOC. Okay. And what's the reason behind that? Alternating angles. Okay. Alternating angles. And then just like that, angle XAB is going to be equal to angle XCO. And what's the reason behind that? Alternating angles. And also these two angles will be the same for two reasons. One is vertically opposite and the other is sum of interior angles. So angle AXB is equal to angle CXO, and like I said, either you write vertically opposite or you write sum of interior angles. Okay, it's up to you. Now अब इस क्वेश्चन में ना मैं बताता हूँ प्रॉब्लम होती क्यों है. The reason why students generally face trouble in this question is because here you don't have one pair of similar triangles, you actually have two pairs of similar triangles, and that is what causes the confusion. Okay, now let's see what do we have. So it says OA equals to 3A. Alright, so that means this is equal to 3A. Okay, let me write that again. OA equals to 3A. Okay. Then it says OC is 6C. Alright. And then you're told that CB and BY are in the ratio 1:2. You're told that CB and BY are in the ratio 1:2. Okay. Now, pay close attention, like I said. In this, you don't have one pair of similar triangles. You actually have two pairs of similar triangles. Now, who can tell me what's the second pair of similar triangles? Look at this and tell me the second pair of similar triangles over here. Yes, your answer should be in simplified form. Bhai sawal padh lo na. Most of the time you just need to read the question to find the answer to your question. It says simplify, so obviously you need to write it in simplified form. Just read the instructions, okay? How difficult is that? AYB, okay. What is AYB similar to? AOX and B, no, not AOX and BOX. ABY and OCY. OCY to, yeah, you're right, OCY. ABY and OCY. So basically, these are, okay, अब मैं बता रहा हूँ. So the other pair of similar triangles that you have is this. Okay, so this is another pair of similar triangles. Now, why are they similar? They're similar because these two lines are parallel, and because these two lines are parallel, what will happen is, first of all, they have a common angle. Okay, this angle will be the same as this angle, and this angle will be the same as this angle due to corresponding angles. All right, ignore these two triangles in between and just focus on AYB and OYC. Okay, now the question is that what exactly is the ratio in which they're similar? Okay, what exactly is the ratio in which they're similar? The answer to that is 2:3. Okay, why are they similar in the ratio 2:3? Again, pay close attention. Notice that this is how many parts? This is 2 parts, and this is how many parts? This is going to be 3 parts. Why 3 parts? Because of 2 plus 1. Okay, so it's important that we write this information down. Okay, even though it's a 1 mark question, even though AB is a 1 mark question, but let me tell you something. This is something that will come in handy for the following parts. Okay, so triangle AYB is similar to triangle OYC. Okay, so that means AB, okay, AB, which is this length, the base of the smaller triangle, divided by the base of the larger triangle, which is OC, and that's equal to what? That's equal to 6C. Now these two bases are going to be in the ratio 2:3. Okay, base of the smaller triangle divided by the base of the larger triangle are going to be in the same ratio as any other two lengths, any other two corresponding lengths. Okay, now cross multiply. Before you cross multiply, make your life easy and simplify. 3 ones are 3 into 2C is 6C. So what's AB equal to? AB is equals to 4C. So there you go. That's what the answer to AB is. It's 4C. ठीक है, इसी part में students को problem होती है. Once you've identified that these two triangles are similar, once you've identified the other pair of similar triangles, then it becomes easy. Okay, so Mosiah, is it okay if I mark my graph? No, not at all. Anything that you are afraid of, anything on a graph or a diagram, do not mark it in pen. That's what my advice is. Even if you're feeling like extremely confident, then also I will not suggest that you mark it in pen. Use a pencil. Just read the instructions, honestly. Just read the instructions and you'll find the answer to your question. Okay. CY. Alright, how do I find out CY? Okay. अब CY निकालने के लिए, here's what we're going to do. So first of all, notice that these two are in the ratio 2:1. That means these two will also be in the ratio 2:1. Alright, I'll repeat what I just said. So basically, YB and BC are in the ratio 2:1. So that means AO, I'll write it with a different color over here. AO and OA actually and AY will also be in the ratio 1:2. So that means AY will actually be double of OA. Okay, so AY over here will actually be double of OA. So what's AY going to be equal to? AY will be equal to 6A. So yes, 6A ho gaya. Okay. Now can you find out CY? Yes, you can. All you gotta do is go from C to O and then from O to Y. So CO is going to be minus 6C. Okay. Minus 6C plus 3A plus 6A. So what do we have? We have minus 6C plus 9A as our answer. Minus 6C plus 9A as our answer. Okay. Now, minus 6C plus 9A, not 6A. Okay. AY will be 6A, but you need to go from O to Y. Then part C. Part C says, find in its simplest form the ratio OX and XB. Okay. OX and XB. Now, OX and XB, if you think about it, OX and XB are basically corresponding lengths of a pair of similar triangles. Okay. And the good thing is the question has already made us do all the hard work. Okay. The good thing is the question has already made us do all the hard work. So we know that AB is equals to what? We know that AB is equals to 4C. And we know that OC is equals to what? OC, the question told us earlier, is equal to 6C. Okay. Now, OX and XB, in order to find out the ratio of their lengths, you don't need to know exactly, you don't have to know these two lengths only. As long as you know any other pair of corresponding lengths, you can find out the ratio of these lengths as well. Okay, why? Because whatever ratio OX and XB are in, OC and AB will also be in the same ratio. Why? Because they are similar corresponding lengths. So OX and XB will be in the same ratio as OC is to AB. So instead of finding out OX and XB, which we can't because we don't have them, I will instead find out the ratio of OC and AB. So why OC upon AB? Why not AB upon OC? Because OC is the base of the larger triangle, which has length OX, and AB is the base of the smaller triangle, which has XB. So what's OC equal to? OC is equals to 6C. What is AB equal to? AB is equals to 4C. So the C and C get cancelled. And what are you left with? You're left with 6 upon 4, which is equal to 3:2. There you go. Okay, then let's do part 2. Part 2 says area of triangle COX is to area of triangle ABX. Alright, so this is easy. The question is again made us do all the hard work. A1 upon A2 equals to L1 upon L2, the whole thing square. So triangle COX की कोई सी लेंथ लेके न्यूमरेटर में रखेंगे और ABX की कोई सी लेंथ लेके मतलब corresponding length लेके डिनोमिनेटर में रखेंगे. Now since we already have the ratio of their lengths, we already know that the ratio of the lengths is 3 upon 2. So that's just what we're going to square. So you square 3 upon 2 and you get 9 upon 4. Okay. So now comes the interesting part. Area of triangle AYB is to area of triangle trapezium OABC. चलें मैं 1 minute दे रहा हूँ आप लोगों को to solve this. Let me read the. It's not 2 upon 3. It's going to be 3 upon 2. God, please, for the love of God, don't end up making that error. Okay. Make sure that you read the question carefully, see what length is in the numerator and see what length is in the denominator. All right. In the numerator, we have OX. So that's why we have OC in the numerator. And in the denominator, we have XB, which is the length of the smaller triangle. Collinear vector or vectors lying on the same straight line. Can we write 3:2? Of course you can't do that. 3:2 is 3:2. 2:3 is something else. Algebra will start at 6 बेटा आपके कहने से कुछ नहीं होगा 6 PM टाइम है 6 PM पे स्टार्ट होगा Yes, large triangle minus small triangle but not 2:1 Yes, apples with apples, oranges with oranges. Good job. चलो किसी को तो याद है 4:5 I'm not sure if 4:5 is the correct answer. Yeah, sure, I can scroll up. No, 4:5, I'm not sure if 4:5 is the correct answer, but let me check. Okay. Okay, I'm solving it. Now pay close attention. So AYB is to trapezium OABC. Alright, now maybe 4:5 is correct, okay? But just hold on. I don't have the answer memorized. Hello, let me check if 4:5 is correct. Okay, I'm sorry, 4:5 is the correct answer. Good job. Okay. So basically, notice that one is a triangle and the other is a trapezium. Alright, so this formula that we use, A1 upon A2 equals L1 upon L2, the whole thing squared, is for similar shapes. Okay, so instead of finding out the ratio of the area of triangle AYB is to ratio of the area of triangle of trapezium OABC, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out the area of triangle AYB is to area of triangle OYC. Okay, now you know that they're in the ratio 2:3. Their lengths are in the ratio 2:3. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. 2 upon 3, the whole thing square. Okay, so when you do that, you end up with 4 upon 9. Now what that means is, that means that if the area of triangle AYB is 4 units, okay, if the area of triangle AYB is 4 units, in that case, the area of the entire triangle OYC ends up being 9 units. Okay. So now, if the area of the small triangle is 4 and if the area of the big triangle is 9, can I find out the area of trapezium? Of course I can. All I got to do is 9 minus 4, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 5. So that means area of triangle AYB is 4 and area of trapezium OABC equals to 9 minus 4, which is equal to 5. Okay. So my apologies when I said that 4:5 is not the correct answer. It is the correct answer. Good job. I probably had some other question in mind. Okay, so let's do. So you guys want to do an insanely difficult question? क्या ख्याल है? Should we do an insanely difficult question? So what is apples with apples and oranges with oranges? So that's just a way to remember that when you are using when you're using the formula a1 upon a2 equals to l1 upon l2, the whole thing square, you just compare the two. Okay, let me say that again. That is just to remember that two triangles can be similar and two trapeziums can be similar, but a trapezium cannot be similar to a triangle. Okay, so that's what apples to apples means, and oranges to orange. That's what also oranges to oranges mean. All right, let's do an insanely difficult question. Jana, careful what you wish for, huh? Okay, now this is a question which says the following. It says ACB and OCD are straight lines. ACB and OCD are straight lines. Okay, AC and CB are in the ratio 1:2. All right, so here's 1 and here's 2. Okay. OA equals to 3A and OB equals to 6B. Express AB in terms of A and B. I said just because I've said it that it's an insanely difficult question does not necessarily mean that you guys also find it difficult. Okay. So anyway, AB is found by simply doing minus 3A plus 6B. Minus 3A plus 6B. And there you go, fellas. That's your answer. Okay. Then it says express AC in terms of A and B. All right. So AC is going to be equal to 1/3 of AB. Why is that? That's because AC is one part, CB is two parts. AC is going to be 1/3 of the total. Okay. So AC is going to be equal to 1/3 of minus 3A plus 6B. Now, does the question say that you have to simplify? No, it doesn't. But in any case, since minus 3 and 6 are both multiples of 3, so my advice is that you should simplify. Okay. So minus 3 upon 3A plus 6 upon 3B, which means minus A plus 2B. Okay. So there you go. That's your answer. Then we have part 3. Part 3 says BD is 5A minus B. Showing you're working clearly, find OC and CD. Notice that this is a 4-mark question. Okay, so सही मजा आने वाला है इसमें. Okay, now we need to find out OC and CD. All right, do we know what their ratio is? No, we don't. Okay, in fact, come to think of it, we don't know anything at all. Yeah, we don't know anything at all. Okay. If they're not multiples, yeah, if they're not multiples, then of course you can't simplify it any further. Okay. Okay. Now, so we know that BD is 5A minus B. Okay. Now tell me, how should I solve this question? How should I solve this question? How do I find out OC? Considering that we already have AC, yeah, we already have AC and we have OA as well. I say, on the second thought, it's not as difficult as I thought. I mean, it's lengthy, but it's not as difficult. Okay. So OC can be found out. Can be found out by simply doing OA plus AC. Okay. So do we have OA? Yeah, we do. Do we have AC? Yeah, we do. It's minus A plus 2B. So here we have 2A plus 2B. Okay. Then let's focus on finding out CD. Okay. अब CD निकालने के लिए here's what we're gonna have to do. CB, okay, CB plus BD. Now the question has been very kind to us by giving us BD, but as far as CB is concerned, CB is something that we'll have to find ourselves, okay? And we've already done the hard work to find out CB, okay? Since AC and CB are in the ratio 1:2, that means CB is going to be equal to 2/3 of the total, which means 2/3 of AB, okay? So CB is going to be equal to 2/3 of AB. So, whoops. Let's write that down. Yeah. Okay. So 2/3 of AB, or AB हमने निकाला हुआ है. Yeah, we found out AB minus 3A plus 6B. So let's simplify this. A paper 2 है, so let's take advantage of it. 2/3 into minus 3, so that's going to be minus 2A. Okay, so here I'm simplifying CB. Alright, so minus 2A plus 2/3 into 6, so that's equal to 4B. Okay, so we have CB. Now that is good enough for us to find out CD. So let's find out CD, which is equal to CB, that's minus 2A plus 4B, plus BD, which is 5A minus B. So minus 2A plus 5A is going to be positive 3A, 4B minus B is going to be 3B. So here we have CD. Okay, now since the question says that we need to give them in ratio form, so OC upon CD, doesn't matter whether you write them in vector form or not. OC is 2A plus 2B and CD is 3A plus 3B. So in the numerator you can factor out 2, so you have A plus B. In the denominator you can factor out 3, so you have A plus B, and there you go. This gets cancelled out and your answer is 2:3. Can't we take twice of AC? Yeah, we could have done that. That's actually not a bad idea. I didn't realize that we've already found out AC. Yeah, we could have just doubled that. इतने स्मार्ट हैं आप लोग ऑलरेडी, तो क्यों देख रहे हैं स्ट्रीम? DA फाइंड कैसे किया? DA फाइंड करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. Nobody's asking you to find out DA. I mean, if you really want to do it, you can. All you gotta do is go from A to B and then from B to D. मेरे लिए? Oh, how nice. Okay, so the next question is of transformation of that topic, but since that's been already tested, so we can ignore that. Okay, let's do another question. Yes, we can find OD total and then subtract as well. That's perfectly all right. Okay, let's do this question. This is a good question. This is October, November 2015, paper 2, variant 1. You know, back when people used to be smart. So what do you think about tomorrow's paper? What do you mean? I know about tomorrow's exam as much as you guys do. एरिया रेशो वाला. ओके, चलो वो इसके बाद देखते हैं. इसके बाद इस तरह का कोई क्वेश्चन आएगा ना तो कर लेंगे. ठीक है. Alright, let's do this first. So this is from, like I said, October, November 2015, paper 2, variant 1. Okay. So it says the diagram shows vectors PQ and QR. Okay. You're given PQ as 5, 2. You're given QR as AB. Find AB. Okay. So the fact that you're given PQ and you're given a grid means that you can confirm that this what this 5, 2 basically means. This 5, 2 basically means that you're going how many units to the right? Let's count. You can see that you're going 1. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units to the right and 2 units up. And hence the vector becomes 5, 2. Okay. So now we can do the same for QR. Let's see how we go from Q to R. So we go 1 unit to the right, that means positive 1, and we go 1, 2, 3, 3 units down. So that means vector QR is actually equal to 1 minus 3. Okay, so what's A and what's B? According to the question, this was A, B. So A, as you can see, is 1, B, as you can see, is minus 3. Okay, fellas, easy. Then let's see what it says. Then it says find PQ. All right, so again, pretty easy. Square root of 5 squared plus 2 squared, which means it's equal to square root of 29, and there you go. That's your answer, root 29, or it's going to be 5.4 something, maybe 5.385, which becomes 5.39. There you go. Okay, then part B. Now part B is the reason why I wanted to do this question. Okay, sir, if you are a B to A grade student, how do you get A star? बेटा आपके ख्याल में इसका क्या जवाब होगा? A star कैसे आएंगे? A star जाहिर सी बात है अच्छे मार्क्स लेके आएंगे, ठीक है. सो इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ ये इतनी ज़्यादा मैथ ना इस्तेमाल करें कि पेपर 1 में इतना स्कोर आया था तो पेपर 2 में कितना स्कोर आना चाहिए ताकि ओवरऑल A स्टार बन जाए, ठीक है. इरिस्पेक्टिव यू कैन ट्राई एंड डू एज वेल एज यू कैन इन द एग्ज़ाम. ओके, सो जस्ट फोकस ऑन दैट. और दूसरी बात ये कि क्या गारंटी है कि जो मैं आपको, लेट्स से आपने इतनी ज़्यादा मैथ इस्तेमाल करके फिगर आउट कर भी लिया कि आपको इतने मार्क्स लेने हैं, अब इस बात की क्या गारंटी है कि आप वो मार्क्स ले पाएंगे, ठीक है. या लेट्स से आपने फिगर आउट कर लिया कि आपके 100 में से आपको लेट्स से 95 मार्क्स आ रहे हैं आपके, ठीक है, और आपको चाहिए 80 मार्क्स टू गेट एन A स्टार. ओके, हाइपोथेटिकली स्पीकिंग. तो अब आप वो 15 मार्क्स क्या करेंगे? छोड़ देंगे? नहीं छोड़ेंगे ना, जाहिर सी बात है. योर ऑब्जेक्टिव विल बी द सेम, इरिस्पेक्टिव योर ऑब्जेक्टिव विल रिमेन द सेम, एंड दैट इज़ के डू एज वेल एज यू कैन. सो दैट्स इट. Okay, do as well as you can, and that's it. Leave everything else. Now here's part B. Part B is, that's because उसमें कोई obstruction आती है तो it loses track. Okay, let me fix that. If it's annoying, let me fix that. Okay, there you go. I fixed it. All right, now let's solve this question. It says OACB is a parallelogram. All right, OA equals to A, OB equals to B. Okay, and then the question says, so D is the point such that 2 times of OB equals to BD. Okay, so with the help of that information, let's see what we can find out. So if the question says that 2 times of OB is equals to BD, that means 2 times of B equals to BD. Okay, so that means BD is equals to 2B. Might as well write it down immediately. Okay, then the question says E is the midpoint of CD. Okay, so E is the midpoint of CD, so that means these two are equal. All right, then the question says express CE as simply as possible. Okay, now how do we go from C to E? Well, CE is going to be equal to half of CD. Why? Because E is the midpoint. Okay, now if E is the midpoint and CE is half of CD, that means all we got to worry about is finding CD. अब CD निकालने के लिए, here's what I can do. I can go from C to B, and then I can go from B to D. So C to B is going to be minus A. Okay, so let's write that down. C to B is going to be minus A, and then B to D is going to be 2B. So there you go. 1 upon 2, and then again if you want you can simplify it, so this will become minus 1 upon 2A plus B, and there you go. That's your final answer. Okay, so minus 1 upon 2A plus B is your final answer to CE. Okay, then you need to find out OE. Okay, how can we go from O to E? We can go from O to A, and then from A to C, and then from C to E. So let's do that. OA plus AC plus CE. Okay, so what's OA? That's A. What's AC? That's B. And what's CE? That is minus half A plus B. Okay, so there you go. If you simplify this, A minus half A is going to be half A, and then B plus B is going to be positive 2B. And there you go. That's your answer. No, you don't have to take the LCM. Okay, you don't have to take the LCM. There's no such thing. So for example, over here This you have to simplify because they can be further simplified. You can't leave it over here. You're not going to get full marks. In fact, you're not going to get any marks because the question says that you need to simplify. And this is a 1 mark question. But do you have to take the LCM? No. You don't have to take the LCM at all. There's no such thing in the question where it says that you need to take the LCM. Okay, now I noticed that you guys were thinking of some other routes, and yeah, that's perfectly alright. If you were thinking to go from O to D and then from D to E, that's also perfectly alright. Okay, whatever clicks to you first, just go ahead. If it's 100% clear, just go ahead and solve it like that. Okay, no need to worry about is if there's a short. I mean, no need to immediately start worrying about whether there's a shorter way or not. If you've thought of a certain way of solving a question, then just go ahead and do it. Don't worry about anything else. Okay. Now, then comes part 3. Part 3 says f is a point on BC such that OF is equals to k times of OE. Okay. F is a point on BC, all right, such that OF is equals to k times of OE. Okay. And then you need to find out BF and FC. All right, so let's clean this up. Okay, so question for you guys. What do I do here? How do I solve this question? So what does this mean, by the way? OF is equals to k times of OE. What does that mean? How could you add 3? What do you mean, how could you add 3? Well, you can add as many vectors as you want. Okay. You can add as many vectors as you want. It's up to you. We'll find OE. Okay. Haven't we done that already? Yeah, we've done that. We already have OE. It's half of A plus 2B. Okay, they're not parallel. Okay, please get this straight. They're not parallel. Yes, we need to find K, but they're not parallel. They're collinear. If OF is equals to K times of OE, because they have a common point O, that means that they're not parallel. They're collinear. Now remember, just like in coordinate geometry, parallel lines have the same gradient, collinear points have the same gradient. In vectors also, parallel vectors and collinear vectors are treated the same way. But how do you distinguish between the two? The way to distinguish between the two is to look for the common point. Okay? In parallel lines, you won't have a common point. Like for example, AB and PQ. No common point, they could be parallel. But let's say you have OA and AB. Because they have a common point A, that means they can't be parallel. They have to be collinear. Okay? And the same, you treat them the exact same way you treat parallel vectors. That is, the ratio is the same. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find out the value of K. Okay, once we find out the value of K, only then will we be able to find out BF and FC. Okay, अब K की value पे focus करते हैं. Now in order to find out the value of K, we need to first realize that these are collinear. Okay, because vector OF is K times of vector OE, that means they're collinear. Okay, now they may not look collinear even if you join them, but if the question says so, then they are collinear. That is why the question usually mentions that the diagram is not drawn to scale. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We need to, like I said, find out the value of K. अब OF अगर हम निकालेंगे तो OF हम कैसे निकालेंगे? In fact, एक काम करते हैं. Let's do OF upon OE. Okay, and that will give us the value of what? That will give us the value of K. Okay, now you can use the concept of similar triangles over here. Why is that? Let me show you. So notice that OF, as the question says, is K times of OE. Okay, so that means if I take OE and make it the subject, then this is what we end. If I may write them in ratio form, then this is what we end up with. Ab dekho, if you use the concept of similar triangles over here, it's much easier. Okay, pay close attention. Notice this is what we have. Okay, we have a pair of similar triangles over here. Okay, and now OB is B, okay, and OE is half A plus 2P. Okay, so OE is half A plus 2P. What does that mean? That means कि ये कितने parts है? ये 2B है और ये कितने parts है? This is half of A. Okay, now what if I ask you guys, what is the value of K? What is, sir, can't we take half common? That will be K. Yeah, you could. Okay, question for you guys. K की value कैसे निकालेंगे? चलें पहले ये बताएं. No, there is no difference in finding out the value of K of collinear and similar. No difference. K is equal to 1 upon 3. Is that correct? Okay. Now I'll solve this. Pay close attention. Now here's OE, which is half A plus 2B. That means in order to go from O to E, it's 2B plus half A. And then in order to go from O to F, अब हम क्या करेंगे? In order to go from O to F, here's what we're doing. We're doing B plus K times of A. Okay, we're doing B plus K times of A. Now notice one thing, and that is that whatever is the ratio of the base will have the same ratio of the heights as well. Okay, so for example over here 2B is the B component of in fact you don't have to take B, let's take 2 only. 2 is the B component of the bigger vector and 1 is the B component of the smaller vector. Okay, so मैंने यहाँ पे OF लिखा है, मैं यहाँ पे OF लिख रहा हूँ, ठीक है. So notice over here OF is equals to K times of half of A plus 2B. Okay. Now one thing that we know about OF is that कि उसका जो B component होगा वो क्या होगा? उसका B component जो है उसका coefficient 1 होगा. Okay. Now, so 2 upon 1 is equal to 1 upon 2 upon K. Okay. And this K is representing what? This K is representing the coefficient of A over here. Okay. अब इसको क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं. इसको जब हम क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, here's what we get. In fact एक काम करते हैं, let's not take this to be equal to K. Let's take this to be equal to some other value. Let's call it PA. Okay. अच्छा मैं एक काम करता हूँ. Let me explain this again from the very beginning. This is a tricky question. Let me explain this again from the very beginning. Okay. देखो. So first of all, understand this concept. कि आपको OF दिया हुआ है और आपको OE दिया हुआ है, ठीक है. You're told that OF is K times of OE, which only tells you that the two vectors are collinear. Okay. Now, yeah, I'll make it simple. Don't worry. अब देखो, OE is what? OE is the following. We worked it out earlier. OE is half A plus 2P. Half A plus 2P. Okay. And what about OF? Now, in order to find out OF, this has to be some times of A. Why? Because this length is parallel to this length. That means this has to be some times of A. Okay. So that means OF, if we write down vector OF, it's going to be something like this. OF is going to be equal to B times of PA. ठीक है. अब हम एक काम करते हैं. Let's use this to find out the value of P. Okay, so let's take the coefficient of B from here. It's 2. Let's take the coefficient of B from here. It's 1. Okay. Then let's take the coefficient of A from here. It's half. And then let's take the coefficient of A from here. It's P. Okay, now why are we doing this? We're doing this because these two vectors are collinear. Now if you cross multiply, you have 2p is equals to 1 upon 2 and p is equals to what? P is equals to 1 upon 4. Okay, now what does that mean? That means this vector over here is 1/4 of a, which means fc is going to be equal to what? Fc is going to be equal to 3/4 of a. Where did 3/4 of a come from? Base a minus 1/4 of a. And now what is the question asking? The question is asking to write down the ratio of bf and fc. So that means 1/4 of a is to 3/4 of a, and then if you cancel it out, so your final answer turns out to be what? Your final answer turns out to be 1:3. शुरू में थोड़ी complication हो गई थी, but I hope it's clear now. Okay, I'll give you guys a quick recap as well. देखें. This is telling you that OF and OE are collinear. Okay, why? Because OF is a multiple of OE. If you think about OF is going to be B plus some times of A. So I've written P over here, B plus PA. And then OE is something that we found earlier. It's equal to what? It's equal to half A plus 2P. Okay. Now, if you compare the coefficients of B and then if you compare the coefficients of A, they will be the same. Why? Because they're collinear. So 2 upon 1 will be the same as half upon P, and then if you cross multiply, this gives you the value of P, which is 1 upon 4. That means कि ये जो छोटा सा part आप देख रहे हैं ये 1/4 of A है, तो ये वाला part कितना होगा? 3/4 of A होगा. Now the question is asking you to write down BF ratio FC. So BF is 1/4 of A, FC is 3/4 of A. Simplify, cancel out the A, and you're left with 1:3. There you go. Okay. Let's do another question. Okay, let's do this question. Now, this question says, the next topic is word problems. You know, word problems leading to quadratic equations. That's what we're doing. Three-fourth कहाँ से आया? A minus 1/4 of A gives us 3/4 of A. So over here, कौन गया? Yeah. Over here, if you do the following, we got 1/4 of A and this entire vector is A. So A minus 1/4 of A gives you 3/4 of A. Okay. Okay, so the next question is this. All right, let's do this. So this is from May, June 2019, paper 2, variant 2. No, let's not call it today. Let's do a few more questions. Let's keep it till 5:45. Okay, then we'll call it today. Okay, so find G minus 2F. How do we find G minus 2F? 1 minus 5 is G minus 2F. Minus 2F means 4 into minus 3. Okay, now let's solve this. So here we have 1 minus 5, and from it we're subtracting what? We're subtracting 8. So don't make the mistake of multiplying the components by minus. Just keep the minus sign in between intact. Just multiply the components by 2 and then subtract. So 8 and minus 6. Okay, so figure this out. 1 minus 8 equals to what? 1 minus 8 equals to minus 7. All right, and minus 5 minus minus 6 equals to positive 1. Okay. Then the question says, Petra writes the magnitude of F to be greater than the magnitude of G. Show that Petra is wrong. Okay, so you don't need to find out whether is Petra the name of a boy or a girl? Khair. You don't need to find out whether Petra is right or wrong. You need to show that Petra is wrong. So how do we do that? We do that by finding out the magnitude of F, which is going to be 4 squared plus negative 3 squared. So this is magnitude of f, which is equal to what? Which is going to be equal to square root of 16 plus 9, which is 25. All right. Now, if you want to convert this into, if you want to take the square root of it, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Then let's find out square root of magnitude of g, which is going to be 1 squared plus minus 5 squared. So the magnitude of g turns out to be square root of 26. Okay. So clearly root 25 is not greater than root 26. So there you go. This is how you can show that Petra is wrong. Okay. Now here's part B. Part B says O, A and B are points with OA equals to A and OB equals to B. Okay, OA equals to A and OB equals to B. P is the point on OA such that OP is equals to 1/3 of OA. Alright, so let's write that down. OP is equal to 1/3 of A. Okay, and then it says O, Q and R lie on a straight line and Q is the midpoint of PB. Okay, Q is the midpoint of PB. Okay, find PB in terms of A and B. Alright, so PB can be found easily. PB will be equal to minus 1 upon 3A. Okay, from P to O and then from O to B, so plus B. And there you go, that's your answer, minus 1 upon 3A plus B. Then it says find OQ in terms of A and B, give your answer in its simplest form. Alright, so let's clean this up. Let's take a picture of it and take this here. Okay, so we need to find out OQ. Let's pick a nice root that will take us from O to Q. So OP plus PQ. Okay, this will take us from O to Q. All right. Now, OP is what? OP we worked out earlier is 1/3 of A. Okay, it was given to us. In fact, we didn't work it out. It was given to us. Okay, and what about PQ? Well, PQ, since Q is the midpoint of PB, PQ will be half of PB. So PB is something that we've worked out, minus 1 upon 3A plus B. So here we go, 1 upon 3A minus 1 upon 6A plus 1 upon 2B. Don't forget to simplify it because the question says give your answer in its simplest form. So 1 upon 3 minus 1 upon 6 gives us 1 upon 6A plus half B. So there you go, 1 upon 6A plus half B. Okay. Now here's part 3. This is a 3-mark question, so that means again be mentally prepared for some decent amount of working. So it says here QR is equals to 2 times of OQ. Show that AR is parallel to PB. Now remember, just like how we show collinear vectors, we show parallel vectors the same way, and of course vice versa. Parallel vectors and collinear vectors are treated the exact same way. Okay. Now we already know what PB is. So let's write that down. PB we worked out earlier is minus 1 upon 3A plus B. Okay. Now somehow we need to find out AR. Okay. So whatever it is that I'm going to do next, I'm going to do it to find AR. Ab AR निकालने के लिए, here's what we can do. We can go from A to O and then we can go from O to R. Okay. A to O and then from O to R will give us AR. Now as far as AO is concerned, we have that. As far as OR is concerned, we don't have that, but we can work it out easily. Okay. Now notice that this is what we are given. We are given that QR is equals to twice of OQ. Okay. अब क्या करें? वालेकुम अस्सलाम. Okay, so AO plus OR is what we're going to do. So AO, like I said, is going to be minus A, but now let's focus on how to find out OR. ठीक है, अब देखते हैं हम पीछे क्या निकाल चुके हैं. अच्छा, पीछे हमने कुछ ख़ास नहीं निकाला. Okay. देखें. So the question says QR is equals to twice of OQ. Okay. QR is equals to twice of OQ. Now, अगर हम इसको रेशियो फॉर्म में कर लें, let's see if that helps. So QR upon OQ will now be in the ratio 2:1. That means if this is 2 parts, this is 1 part. Okay? If this is 2 part, this is 1 part. Okay. And now let's see how we can find out AR. Alright, let me think. OP plus PQ, but the thing is हमारे पास OP है, हमारे पास OP भी नहीं है. Do we know anything about P? अच्छा, okay, brilliant. सही सही, ये तो मैं भूल ही गया कि ये हमें 1/3 of A दिया हुआ है. Okay, great. ठीक है. Alright, that will help. Now we have enough information. So OP plus PQ will give us OQ. Okay, OP plus PQ will give us OQ. So OP is what? OP is 1/3 of A, and PQ is something we worked out earlier. PQ is something we worked out earlier. Yeah. So PQ will be half of minus 1/3 of A. Okay. Plus B. Okay. Now, so here's what we have. We have 1/3 of A minus 1/6 of A plus half B. ये इससे क्या आ जाएगा हमारे पास? इससे हमारे ओहो OQ तो हमारे पास ऑलरेडी है. Alright, my bad. I think I need a break. Sorry. OQ तो हमारे पास ऑलरेडी है. Let's do this again. Okay. Now OQ is something that we already have. It's 1/6A plus half B. So 1/6A plus half B. Okay. Now QR is equal to what? Is equals to twice of OQ according to the question. Okay. So take 2 and multiply it by 1/6 of A plus half B. Okay. So what do we get? We get 1/3 of A plus B. तो मैंने directly थोड़ा simplify कर लिया. I hope it's clear to you guys. Okay. So now we have QR, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 1/3 of A plus B. ठीक है. Alright. Then let's find out AR. अब AR निकालने के लिए वैसे तो हम ये भी कर सकते थे that we could have taken this and straight away multiplied it by 3 तो हमारे पास directly OR आ जाता. But खैर है, कोई बात नहीं. So in order to find out AR, we'll go from A to O, which is minus A, and then from O to Q, which is going to be 1/6A plus half B, and then from Q to R, which is going to be 1/3A plus B. Okay. Now, thankfully, this is a paper 2 question, so we can use your calculator over here. All right. So minus A plus 1/6A plus 1/3A. Let's figure this out. Minus A plus 1/6 plus 1/3. Okay. So what do we get? We get minus 1/2A. Plus, now let's take all the b's and add them up. 1 divided by 2 plus 1, so that is 3/2p. Okay. अब एक काम करते हैं. Let's take 1/2 common. So if you take 1/2 common, what do you end up with? You end up with minus A plus 3p. Alright, this is what you end up with. Minus A plus 3p. Now we had to show that AR is parallel to PB. Okay, AR is parallel to PB. या in fact अगर हम common नहीं भी लेते तब भी कोई बात नहीं. Here is PB. Okay. Now we'll compare the coefficients. So what's the coefficient of A from PB? It's minus 1/3. What's the coefficient of A from AR? It's minus 1/2. What's the coefficient of B from PB? It's 1. What's the coefficient of B from AR? It's 3/2. Okay. Now minus 1/3 divided by minus 1/2 is 2/3, and 1 divided by 3/2 is also equal to 2/3. And there you go. That is your answer. Now, what would you rate this question? Now, I'm not using variables. Okay, now remember, when I say we use a calculator to add this, I'm only adding the coefficients, okay? I'm not adding minus A plus 1/6A plus 1/3A. I'm just adding minus 1 plus 1/6 plus 1/3, okay? So that's something that you guys can also do. In fact, you should do. I will strongly recommend it. Gradient concept. Gradient concept, maybe yeah, you can use that. Okay, you can use that as well. It was 7 on 10. That's what I thought. So like, let's do one more question and then let's end it. Okay, just one more question and then that's it. Okay. Area ratios. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Area questions. एक क्वेश्चन मैंने करवा तो दिया एरिया वाला. Alright, here it is. Okay. Here it is. Let's do this. Okay. Multiple color pens. No, you can't do that. Again, just read the instructions. You'll find the answer to your question. कोई भी पेपर खोल के देख लो, ऊपर लिखा हुआ होता है. Use a black or a dark blue pen. You may use an HB pencil for diagrams or graphs. Now, that does not mean that you have to use a pencil for diagrams and graphs, but it's strongly recommended. Okay. It is highly and strongly recommended. So that if you mess it up, because if you mess it up, what are you going to do then? Are you going to ask for a different paper? Of course not. Do I think there will be a lot of vectors paper? Okay, no. I think there will be a question on similar triangles, maybe, which will lead to either a quadratic equation, okay, or maybe there will be a question on similar triangles with vectors like the one we did earlier. Or maybe there will be one of those questions where, you have to first form an equation and then make a graph of it, which we did when we were doing graphs of functions. Loci, if it didn't come in paper 1, then you can expect it in paper 2. All right. And it's fairly easy. Even the most difficult questions of loci are pretty easy. Okay, now, here's question number 21, part A. Let's see what it says. Maybe congruent or similar triangles. That's what I mean. I'm not saying just congruent triangles. Maybe congruent or similar triangles, or maybe both. Okay, maybe both. Will paper 1 be easy? Well, aren't you already done with paper 1? You mean paper 2? I don't know. I don't know whether it will be easy or not. Sir, if you write with pencil, is that bad? No, not at all recommended. Use a pen. Momina will take a break after this question. Okay, we'll end this stream early and then we'll start word problems at 6. Okay. Now, this question says in the triangle ABC, D divides AB in the ratio 3:2. Okay, so D divides AB in the ratio 3:2. So let's write that down. Okay. AD is equals to A and AE equals to B. All right. Acha, okay. Now this also. E divides AC in the ratio 3:2. So that means this is 3 part and this is 2 parts. Okay. Show using vectors that DE is parallel to BC. Okay. So first of all, let's find out DE. So D is something that you can find in the blink of an eye. It's going to be minus A plus B. Okay. But you need to work hard for BC. Okay. BC ke liye, you need to do BA plus AC. Now the thing is, we don't know what BA is, we don't know what AC is. Okay. But here's what we do know. We do know that AD and AB are in the ratio 3:2. Okay. This is what we know. And since we know what vector AD is A upon AB, which is equal to 3/2. Cross multiply, you'll have the value of AB. Okay. So AB equals to what? AB is equals to 2/3 of A. Alright, so that's what AB is equals to 2/3 of A. ठीक है? No, wait a minute. AD A के बराबर है. Sorry, not AD and AB. AD and AB are in the ratio 3:5. Okay, AD and AB are in the ratio 3:5. Now, why 3:5? Okay, let me explain that. That's because this altogether has been divided into 5 parts. This altogether has been divided into 5 parts. Okay, so that means K AD and AB, which is the total, are in the ratio 3:5. Okay, now then if you cross multiply, so AB turns out to be what? AB turns out to be 5/3A. Okay, just like that, let's see what the deal is with AC. So AE and AC are in the ratio 3:5. Okay, so AE and AC are in the ratio 3:5. Okay, so again, we know what AE is. It's B. We say, honestly speaking, you don't need to work hard for this. You can just find it out directly. Okay, so AE is B, AC is something we don't know, and that's equal to 3/5. So AC equals to what? AC is equals to 5/3B. Okay, now you can find out vector BC. So vector BC is equals to what? Vector BC is going to be equal to BA, which means minus 3/5A, plus the vector AC, which means 5/3B. Okay, now here's my advice. My advice is that you take 3/5 common, and if you take 3/5 common, you have minus A plus B, and then you write that DE, or you say BC, is equals to 3/5 of DE. Okay, therefore BC and DE are parallel. There you go. That's it. That's your answer. क्या हो गया भाई, आप लोग ये अंग्रेजी पे क्यों लड़ रहे हैं? Criteria for distinction. Okay, so honestly, nobody knows what the criteria for distinction is. Okay, Cambridge hasn't really made it black and white, so sadly nobody knows. How 3/5? 3/5 because AE is 3 parts and EC is 2 parts, so that means altogether AC is 5 parts. Oh yeah, it's 5/3. Oh, okay. ये 5/3 था. You're right. Five upon 3. Okay, fixed it. Thank you. 5/3. Then it says find the ratio of area of triangle ADE is to area of triangle ABC. Okay, so we can do that. Area of triangle ADE is to area of triangle ABC. Now the question has already made you do all the hard work. Okay, you figured out not only what ratio that they're parallel, in fact you figured out what ratio in which they're similar. Okay, so ADE means the smaller triangle, which is 3 parts. ABC means the larger triangle, which is how many parts? Which is 5 parts. Now because they're similar, then this is what we're going to use. A1/A2 equals to L1/L2 the whole thing square. So that means 3/5 the whole thing square, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 9:25. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay. So that's it. What do you say? We stop here? Now I will encourage you guys to solve some more questions. Okay? Solve some more questions, especially the ones where you're dealing with shapes. Okay? especially the ones where you're dealing with shapes. I'm not making a prediction over here or something. I'm just saying okay, those questions are good for practice. What are your thoughts on, okay, Ali, honestly, I've been getting a lot of messages, but I haven't sort of skimmed through the messages yet. I haven't seen ke exactly paper mein kya hai. First, let me have a look ke paper mein kya hai. Then I'll make a video on it as well. Okay, but yes, let me tell you one thing. Majority of the students found the paper difficult. Okay, so since majority of the students found it difficult, that means definitely the threshold is going to be low. And I'm talking about like average and above average and good students. Okay, one more question. All right, so let's do one more question, but then that would be it. Okay, just one more question, perhaps maybe of area. Okay, let's do this question. Okay, all right, now this is a pretty old question. It's from May June 2014. Okay, it starts from here, so let's solve this part. So this part says, in this question, you may use a grid below to help you. All right. It says P has a position vector 4, 2 and Q has a position vector 8, minus 3. Find PQ. Okay, so we don't really need to use the grid, at least not for this part. So OQ minus OP will give us PQ. OQ is what? OQ is 8 minus 3. And OP is what? OP is 4 and 2. Okay, so solve this and simplify this. Let's see what you get. You get 8 minus 4 equals to what? 8 minus 4 is equals to 4. All right, so let's write that down. Minus 3 minus 2 is equal to what? Is equals to minus 5. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, pretty easy. Now, then the next part says find PQ. Okay, so how do I find out PQ? So the magnitude of PQ is going to be equal to square root of 4 squared plus minus 5 squared, which means 25 plus 16. 25 plus 16, which is equal to square root of 41 or 6.40. So either root 41 or 6.40. Then it says find the equation of the line PQ. Okay, so this is more like a coordinate geometry question. Now notice one thing, that if you have the vector PQ, then you know what, you can find out the gradient easily. So here's x, here's y. If you want to find out the gradient of a vector, here's what you need to do. Take the y component, which is minus 5, divide by the x component, which is 4. Okay, so immediately after the gradient aa gaya. You don't need to go through the pain of subtracting y and then dividing it by the difference in x. Just reverse the components and divide them and you'll have the answer. Okay, so that's the gradient. That means after the gradient, this is where we're at. Y equals to minus 5 upon 4x plus c. Now in order to find out c, we need a point through which the line is passing. So I'm going to go with the coordinates of p, 4 comma 2. So we plug in 2 in place of 5 in place of y, and we plug in 4 in place of x plus c. So let's see what do we get. Minus 5 divided by 4 into 4. So this gets cancelled out. 2 plus 5 equals to c. So now we have the complete equation. Y equals to minus 5 upon 4x plus 7. Okay, so there you go. Now part 4. Part 4 says given that Q is the midpoint of PR, find the coordinates of R. Okay, no, don't use the add math formula for finding out the equation. Okay, so Q is the midpoint of PR. Do we have the coordinates of Q? Yes, I think we do. It's 8 comma minus 3. Do we have the coordinates of R? No, we don't. In fact, that's what we're supposed to find out. Do we have the coordinates of P? Yes, we do. 4 comma 2. And since Q is the midpoint, we're going to use the midpoint formula. X plus 4 upon 2 equals to 8. And y plus 2 upon 2 equals to minus 3. Yes, you can use y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1 as well. Obviously, that is something you can use anywhere. Okay, but I'm just saying okay, if you already have the vector, all you got to do is divide the y component by x component and you have your gradient. So x plus 4 equals to 16, which means x is equals to 12. So we have the x coordinate. Y plus 2 equals to minus 6, which means y is equals to minus 4. So we have the y coordinate as well. No, wait, minus 6 minus 2. So that's going to be minus 8. Okay. All right. Now, this is the reason why I wanted to do this question. It says, in diagram triangles OAB and OCD are similar. OA equals to A and OB equals to B, and BC is equals to 4A minus B. Okay, express as simply as possible in terms of A and or B, and AB. So AB निकालने के लिए, here's what we're going to do, minus A plus B. So what's that equal to? That's it, nothing you can do further. So minus A plus B is the answer. Okay, then it says find AC. Okay, how do I find out AC? I go from A to B and then from B to C. Now AB is something that we've worked out earlier, it's minus A plus B, and then BC, which is 4A minus B. So plus B and minus B get cancelled out. Minus A plus 4A is equals to what? Equals to 3A. So there you go. That's your answer. Okay. Then it says find CD. अच्छा जी. अब CD के लिए क्या करें? What can I do for CD? Notice that the question told you earlier that triangle OAB and triangle OCD are similar. Okay, so this is something that the question told you earlier. अब ऐसे ही नहीं question ने आपको ये बताया. There's a very good reason behind that. And you've also worked out AC, which is 3A. Now, and what do we have to find out? CD. Okay, so keep that in mind that we need to find out CD. Okay, so CD is what we need to find out. That means AB and CD will be in the same ratio as OA and OC. Why is that? That is because this is true because triangle OAB and triangle OCD are similar. Okay, that's the only reason why we're making this statement. Okay, कोई और वजह होती तो हम नहीं कहते. Now, AB is something we already have. Okay, so that's what we're going to make use of. CB, in fact, let's replace it. So minus A plus B se replace kar dete hain. CD is something that we need to find out. All right. And what's OA equal to? OA is equals to A, and what is OC equal to? OC will be equal to what? OC will be equal to 4A. Okay, so this and this gets cancelled out. Now if you cross multiply, so CD is equals to 4 times of minus A plus B. So that means CD is equals to minus 4A plus 4B. अब ये जितनी भी वर्किंग है ये आपने एक्चुअली यहाँ पे करनी थी. There you go. Okay. Then part 2. Part 2 says find in its simplest form the ratio of the perimeter of triangle OAB is to perimeter of triangle OCD. Okay. Now this is a first. This is not something that we're generally used to dealing with, and that is the perimeter. अब the thing is, just by reading perimeter, don't freak out. Okay. Perimeter is a form of length, and perimeter will be in the same ratio as the ratio of lengths. Okay. So in order to find out perimeter, all you can do is you can take OA, okay, and divide it by OC, and that's good enough. OA is A and OC is 4A, so that means 1 upon 4. So 1 is to 4. Okay, like I said, perimeter dekhe, don't freak out that this is something that we haven't learned. It's treated the same way as any other length. Okay. Then we have an interesting question where it's asking us for the area of triangle OAB is to area of trapezium. Now I'm just going to draw it separately over here. Okay, so कोई ऐसी situation थी, ठीक है? Here's O, AB, AB, and C, D. Okay, we know that this is 1, A or simply 1A, and this is 4A or simply 4. Okay. Now, again, remember apples to apples and oranges to oranges. So instead of finding out the area of triangle OAB is to area of trapezium ABDC, what I'll do instead is I'll find out the area of triangle OAB is to area of triangle OCD. Okay, so 1 upon 4, the whole thing square, And what's that equal to? That's going to be equal to 1 upon 16. That means if the area of this triangle is equal to 1, then the area of the entire triangle is equal to 16, which means the area of the trapezium is going to be equal to 16 minus 1, which is equal to 15. And there you go, fellas. That's it. That's your answer. Now, these area questions are not always 1 marks. And they're not always 1 mark, okay? There's no such thing that they will always be 1 mark. If you have to sort of figure out some more information in order to find out the ratio of the areas, then obviously it's going to be more 1 marks. Okay. All right, so I'll stop here. I will inshallah see you guys shortly in like 5-10 minutes with another stream, the last stream before you guys appear for your exam. Have you guys thought about that? That the next stream will be your last stream before you appear for your exam? One is to 12? No, it's not 1 is to 12. It's 1 is to 15. Since A-level math paper was hard, can we expect more? Okay, there's no correlation. There's no correlation with A-level math paper and your paper or any other paper for that matter. Okay, in fact, paper 1 and paper 2 also don't really have a correlation. So like I said, don't worry about, see, these are things you can't control. So don't worry about that. I'll make a detailed video inshallah before the exam. In fact, I'll make it tonight. Hopefully I'll target and upload it by 9 PM. Usko अच्छे से देख लेना. Nothing in that video, I mean, there'll be nothing in that video that I haven't mentioned already. Okay, so just remember to get a good night's sleep, something that I've been saying from the beginning, and not just me. You can ask any math teacher, they will always tell you that a good night's sleep is very important. Okay, it's part of your preparation. Just like how you do revision, you also need a good night's sleep. Okay, 1 is to 15, 1 is to 15 because it's trapezium. All right. But I made a video on this a couple of days back where I talked about what are the topics to focus on in paper 2. Okay, so please watch that. If I mention them right now, I might end up forgetting 1 or 2 topics. All right, so just watch the video. Usme aapko mil jayega. Usme bas, yeah, there's just one topic that I didn't mention. That was everyday math. So just make a note of that. All the topics that I say in that video plus everyday math. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to stop here. I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes in the next stream. So take care, everyone. Allah Hafiz.